GDP of Lagos is actually bigger than GDP of Kenya, it's bigger than Ghana, it's bigger than Rwanda, and it's bigger than Senegal, right? So as we can
Over the years, women, particularly in Nigeria, have continued to play second fiddle to the male counterparts. This has generated lots of controversies among major stakeholders. AV1 News Vivian Akinsoye caught up with a woman who has excelled very well in her chosen profession, the movie industry. Her name, Hilda. She described women as an embodiment of beauty, brain, and power. She also took time to say a word or two on the movie industry. That's our focus today on Newsfile. Welcome to the program. My name is Alex Mayer. I'm going to leave you with this interview that Vivian Akinse had with Hilda Dokubo. When we come back, we'll run up the program.
There is something in the new entertainment industry as we see. The landscape has changed. TikTok and all of that. How do you see the old marrying the new?
It's almost like saying, how do you see gown marrying town? You know, the consumers, a part of the consideration that you give when you create a work of art. Yes, you're using your imaginations and creating your own stories and all of that. But importantly is also the fact that we now live in a global world that is so small as a result of the presence of the social media platforms. So it has both its merits and demerits. We have situations where untrained amateurs take on for themselves the role of storyteller, director, producer, everybody as a matter of fact. And sometimes even the cameramen, because they frame, then they go and they start working. So it's like a one man's business. And yet they earn a living. It becomes a business when you can earn a living. And in many ways it has affected the industry because very lazy directors and producers go online and using the algorithm without understanding the potentials of the people, cast them because they want to leverage on the followership of that person. It tells when you see the interpretation. It tells. I don't have a problem with people using people or, well, not in, not in a negative sense, but people not preparing people to take on roles. I'm against that. I think that if you find somebody with large algorithm and you think that you want to engage the person, my suggestion would be train the person, prepare the person for the assignment that the person is about to embark on so that you don't embarrass both yourself and the person by just dumping the person on the audience. Plus, you see, people are leveraging on sexuality as well, right? So you have people who are thriving on half nudity, vulgar dancing, like a whole lot. So that part of the work or that part of the expression impacts negatively on the larger community of entertainers, but on their smaller community, it impacts financially. It makes them make a lot of money online, TikTok, and all of that. Then TikTok also encourages a whole lot of mimicry, and it's an art form. So some people are able to mimic, very well. using the TikTok and can actually use that mimicry as their own acting training if they're serious about it, to do what they want to do. So we've seen a lot of things change. I can plan a full schedule, a full script. I can do a read on Zoom on. So it's a sweet sour kind of feeling that you have when you look at how the social media impacts on the industry. You can't say no, we don't need it. You need it, and you can't say, oh, we need it 100%, because there are times when you don't need it.
AV1 Television, telling African stories, one voice at a time. AV1 Television, telling African stories, one voice at a time.
I've always said something. In terms of storytelling, we have beautiful stories. Africans have great imagination, and the kind of things that we imagine and put together, plus our cultural heritage, our clothes, food, dances, music, it's a lot to tap from. So we're culturally rich. We also have the population. So I'm looking at it and I'm saying that we tell the African story using the Western technology. That's until we find the answer for that. For now, we don't produce cameras and all of that, but if a little bit more is invested in getting our people to learn how to produce some of these things, so yeah, so we can actually produce some of the things that we need. It's just a question of time. But for now, the way it is, let's tell our African story the way it is, using the Western technology, and then reaching out to the rest of the world, both at home and outside.
On the last note, it's woman related, but not this event. The African woman. What's your take about it?
Oh, the African woman, she is an embodiment of power. The African woman, wherever you put her, even in poverty, she is a strong person. In the past, we had created a stereotype kind of African woman. She's either the crying, helpless woman, or she is the witch mother-in-law, or she is the intimidating, oppressive working class woman. That's not the African woman, and that's not us at all. These are strange people that we're creating out of I don't know whose warped ideas. The African woman is sacrificial, will do everything and anything to uphold her family, her children, her home. She would do everything to do that. And these things were captured in original stories. You have Queen Kambasa of Boni, you have Moremi, you have the Queen of Zao Zao, Amina, and several others. You have the story of the Aba women who could not stand oppression and decided to have a revolt as far back as 1929. So The African woman is a strong woman. She's an Amazonan. She's ready to take on whatever challenge that you present before her. And I can't help myself. I'm looking so forward to it, which is why when Omoni Oboli came up with the script of The Uprising, I was glad to play, and I'm happy that that got a nomination from AMVCA. We're looking forward to whatever the winnings would be, but the fact that it was recognized and recognized as an African woman angled story. So my take on her, Viva Africa.
Hope you enjoyed that interview with Hilda Dokubo. Join us for a fresh edition of the program, same time, same station. Until then, I'm Alex Ilomea. Thanks for watching.